Welcome to the WolfPack Sports Wire, a podcast from the athletic department at Whitefield Academy. Whitefield Academy is a Christ-centered pre-K through 12 college preparatory school located in Smyrna, Georgia. On this show, we highlight our hardworking coaches and student athletes who are excelling in and out of competition. Welcome back. You're listening to the WolfPack Sports Wire. It's episode 11, and I'm your host, Jack Hunter. It's the week of October 27th, and we lead up to Halloween on Friday. I'm not tricking you here. Friday's football region championship here against Fellowship Christian will be a treat. Stay tuned as we get the thoughts of our head coach, Robert Walsh, on the big matchup. Later in the show, we'll welcome back softball head coach Mike Fuller to the program with the team in the Elite Eight in Columbus for the first time in school history. What a year it's been. First, a word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Carrie Dobo Sells Real Estate. Carrie Dobo is a familiar name here on this Whitefield campus, having served as our sports information director for 4 years before becoming a realtor. She's a top-producing Atlanta realtor who helps people buy and sell homes with strategy, heart, and hustle. Because real estate isn't just about houses, it's about building a life you love. Today's show is also brought to you by Homrich Berg, which is now HB Wealth, a national independent wealth management firm providing fiduciary, fee-only wealth advisory services, investment management, and family office services to individuals and families, multi-generational families, suddenly single individuals, business owners and entrepreneurs, corporate executives, and professional service practitioners. Thank you for your support of the show, of Pack Backers, and of Whitefield Athletics. Now here's Coach Walsh. Coach Walsh, great to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Jack. How about you?
I'm doing well. We're recording this on a Monday, torrential downpour all day, so that's killing the spirit a little bit, but glad to be doing this. So you talk a lot about playing up to the standard no matter the opponent. You played a team last week in Walker, low in numbers, struggling on the season. You guys got out in front early and kind of kept it on them through the end of the game. How did you feel like you played to that standard on Friday?
I thought we did a good job of playing to our standard. It's hard getting up for those games and getting your guys motivated to play in a game like that. But they went out and executed very well. Mason had 5 carries for 5 touchdowns. Landon was perfect throwing the ball. And we were able to get some backups, some time on the field, as well as a lot of freshmen, which is always good.
So this can be kind of a hard game to analyze because of kind of the discrepancy and because of how lopsided the game was. But what can you take away from that game, either positives or things that you need to work on?
Again, we had a few penalties that I didn't really like. Some personal fouls, some face masks. And they weren't like blatant penalties or just complete undisciplined. It was just little things that we did wrong and that we're going to have to correct if we want to beat a great team in Fellowship Christian.
So there's a lot of anticipation with this matchup in that you guys won the sub-region championship the week before the Walker game, and Fellowship had to clinch it this past week against Wesleyan, but they were a heavy favorite going into the game. So there's been kind of rumblings about this game being a matchup for a while now. What is going to be the game plan during practice this week? How are you guys going to prepare for this upcoming game?
Fellowship's a great team. They do a really good job of scheming teams up. Defensively, they're very multiple. They give you a bunch of different looks. And it's hard to prepare your offensive line and your offense for all the looks they have. So we're going to have to stick to our rules and be disciplined on the offensive side of the ball as far as that goes. And then their offense, they have a really good quarterback in Jonathan Granby, and then their running back is C.J. Givers. Both those guys are, D1 guys. Jonathan, he's committed to Georgia Southern to play safety, and then CJ I don't think is committed anywhere yet. So the offense runs through both those guys. They did get a transfer in from Kings Ridge, who's a senior this year, number 2 at receiver. He's a dynamic playmaker. So offensively, they have a lot of weapons, and they want to run the ball. There's no secrets to what they're doing. They'll line up in an old school I formation and run it right at you. So a little bit of a throwback to the 90s offense for our Whitefield fans to see on Friday night.
Love seeing a fullback in action. So looking forward to seeing this matchup on Friday for numerous reasons, one of which is that Fellowship historically over the last decade has been kind of one of those North Stars for small private Christian football programs. I mean, they've been playing deep in the playoffs for a long time. What is it going to do for your team? Obviously, there's region championship implications, but what is it going to do for your team to play a team of their caliber? They're ranked number 2 right now in the private division by the GHSF Daily, to kind of get your team ready for the playoffs, where you're going to be playing teams like that, every round.
That was the whole reason of scheduling like a Savannah Christian to start the year, to kind of measure our football team against a team that's probably going to play deep in the playoffs. Obviously, that game didn't go our way. We didn't play a 4-quarter football game. I definitely think we're a completely different football team now than we were that week 1 game. So, we're a good football team. Our kids are confident in what we're doing right now. We've come a long way in my 3 years here where, in years past, kids, we would be going to play fellowship and they weren't sure if they could win. They weren't sure if they can compete. Our kids believe they can compete, and our kids believe we can win this game Friday night and make a statement across the state that, fellowship plays deep in the playoffs. Well, we're going to this year as well.
Yeah, and you talk about that kind of belief in that mindset. That's definitely something that's been circulating around campus, and that obviously Fellowship's a good team. We know that, but Whitefield football is also a very good football team. How does it feel to have a team and also have a school that says, yes, we're playing a good team and we're playing a powerhouse, but we're in it to win, and we believe?
I think it goes back to all the hard work these young men put in the weight room, in the off season, doing all those little things to prepare for a moment like this. I think is huge. They don't gain that confidence without the hard work they put in the off season and all the hours we put in watching film and preparing for our opponent and on the practice field. They don't gain that confidence without going out and working hard and going out and earning it every day.
Yeah, so Fellowship coming in after a 41-14 win over Wesleyan to get their sub-region championship last week. You mentioned some of those guys who Granby, the quarterback, just is now thrown for over 4,000 career passing yards. Givers is just short of 5,000 rushing yards, which speaks to their skill, but it also speaks to the longevity and how they've been in the system and been playing for the program for a while now. What are going to be the keys to this matchup and trying to defeat a team that's an old team and a team that is experienced, especially around this time of the year?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but offensively, it's going to take tempo. We're going to have to go fast on offense, change formations. Last year, our first 2 drives, we went extremely fast and snapped the ball really quick. Half the time, they weren't even lined up. And then for some reason, a rookie offense coordinator and myself got away from that tempo and that pace. For some reason, and the game just didn't look the same for us offensively. This year we've been going fast on offense all year, and that's my plan going into this game. I want them to struggle to line up against our offense just based on how fast we go and the different looks we give them. And then defensively, we're going to have to stop the run. That's what they want to do. They have thrown some balls over the top of defenses this year, but that's not truly who their identity is. We got to sell out to stop the run and force them to throw the ball. We're going to have to contain their quarterback and keep him in the pocket a little bit. He's very similar to Skylar Hamilton that we played 2 weeks ago. Different style runner, but they're very similar.
Yeah, and so this is a special matchup too because this Friday night is going to be at home, and we're in football season in terms of the weather right now, and so it's going to be a special atmosphere for this region championship game, getting to play in front of the home fans, and we've had a lot of home games this year. What are you hoping to see from the crowd or from the atmosphere on Friday night, and how will that help you try to get a win?
I know it's Halloween night, and, we'll probably have a lot of our lower school families and things like that, maybe going out to trick or treat. I'm just hoping that everybody will show up here Friday night, support these young men, and really show fellowship, what our community is all about. I've truly valued the community events that is kind of turned into on Friday nights here at Whitefield, and our boys feed off that energy and that support. 2 weeks ago, having Landmark here and the support and the way our fans were loud and cheering, I think it makes a huge difference in a game like this.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for your time today, and best of luck on Friday.
All right, go Pack.
This year's Whitefield softball team continues to amaze as they defeated Kings Ridge in a doubleheader last week to advance to the Elite Eight. And with that, a trip to Columbus to now play in the 8-team state tournament. Before they left for Columbus, we got a chance to catch up with Mike Fuller, the head coach for this softball team and now a reoccurring guest on this show, to talk about what's gone right this year, how they've gotten to Columbus, and what they plan on doing to make some noise while down there. Coach Fuller, congratulations on making it this far in the season. How are you?
I'm great, and thank you, and super excited.
So how exciting is it to be playing for a state title now with 8 teams left, going down to Columbus and making history in the Whitefield softball program?
Yeah, I'm just super excited for the girls to get to experience this event, especially the seniors who were the first group that I started coaching with, so they were kind of the foundation of this program. And to see all of their work over the last 4 years pay off was just special the other night.
Yeah, so let's talk about the practical side of going to Columbus. So as I mentioned, it's an 8-team double elimination tournament. Your first game is Wednesday, so this will come out. You guys have played yesterday versus Wesleyan. How do you approach this format from kind of a strategy or a keys to victory standpoint, as this is a very unique format? You guys played a best-of-3 series before getting to this, but double elimination tournament's not something you really do during the regular season.
Right. Actually, I prefer the double elimination. It's easier on your pitching staff, and we have a lot of players that do not play travel ball, so playing 2 games in a row is different for them, especially 4 straight hours of just that adrenaline flowing, and so I prefer the double elimination. We only play 1 game Wednesday, 1 Thursday before we get into potentially 2 to 3 games a day. So yes, much more better for our pitching staff and our team to play a double elimination tournament.
Yeah, and in that tournament, if you win all the way through, just win every game, it can be a pretty short amount of games for you. If you lose really early on, it's going to be a very long road to get to the state title. So what are going to be the keys to keeping Whitefield in the winner's bracket for as long as we can to avoid having to play 7-8 games in the tournament?
Well, actually, Wesleyan, the defending champions, who we play right off the bat, they lost their first game last year. They had 2 good pitchers, and they ran the table after that. So, like you said, it is extremely tough to do that. But it is doable with at least 2 pitchers. I think the most you would play in one day, back to back to back, would be 3 games. So, it's tough, but with only 8 teams, it's doable with 2 pitchers on your staff.
Let's talk about the meaning of Columbus. We've talked about the practical side. If you're ever around high school softball, the word Columbus holds great meaning to it, given that all classifications, the final 8 are descending upon Columbus to crown a champion. So it's kind of softball royalty in the state of Georgia to get there. What does it mean that Whitefield softball is now going for the first time?
Well, it means the world to me. For these players to be the first ones to ever do that. And just for Whitefield, just in my 4 seasons here, the sports all across the board have really done well, and I'm just super excited for all the programs here that have, done things that have never been done, and just glad that softball is now part of that status.
So let's talk about how you got there. You got there last week after a Sweet 16 sweep in a best-of-3 series at Kings Ridge. You guys had lost a close one-run game to them earlier in the season. You went there, you played 2 straight games. There were 2 kind of different games. The first game, you guys exploded on them, 11-3 victory in 5 innings. Game 2, walk-off 10-9 win in a really, really tight contest off the Millie Newman walk-off hit. It's a very long day for you and your team. How were you guys able to pull out those 2 games against a good team in Kings Ridge?
I was very comfortable going into those 2 games, and actually I expected to win. I felt like pitching and defensively we matched up with them very evenly, but I felt like offensively we were much better. We actually have our first 6 hitters can all hit the ball out of the park, and they only have one girl that we were concerned about that could hit the ball deep. So teams this year have, respected that power, so they have to play deeper in the outfield, which gives us more opportunities to have those bloop hits. So I felt good going into the game, and that's exactly what happened the first game is, our bats were great, and we won easily. But, all the years I've coached, I know better than to realize that 2 games in a row are going to be easy, but we actually started out 7-0 in the second inning. But I have to give Kings Ridge credit for coming back, because usually when a team gets run ruled and then they get down 7-0, they're not coming back. So kudos to them for giving us a challenge. But, kudos to our girls for stepping up and finishing, because it would have been rough to come back that third game.
Yeah, so CC Springfield, kind of face of the program, going to Auburn next year to play softball. We had her on the show, and we talked about her when the last time you were on the show. Had 2 home runs in the first game, 6 RBIs, and then ended up coming to pitch in Game 2 in relief. How important was her contribution in a game like that, having your star player step up and help carry you to Columbus?
Well, CC, she's different, obviously, and as I've stated before, she's one of those players you only get every 10 years or so. I had talked to her a couple of weeks ago about pitching if we needed her, because she has not pitched but in 1 or 2 games all year, and she's obviously said absolutely. So she, worked on that a little bit in practice this past week, and it paid off, because we definitely needed her, because at that point, when I had to bring her in, Kings Ridge had seen Olivia, 5 and 6 times through the order, so they were starting to make good contact and score more runs. So CC came in and, only gave up 1 run, and it wasn't her run. That run was already on base, so only gave up 1 hit and then shut them down. So just super proud of her, and people don't realize how hard that is to come in and pitch when you haven't pitched for basically 2 months.
Yeah, and talk about that pitching depth too. We mentioned it at the beginning of the season, how it was a gift to you to have 3 pitchers. Not all of them have been available at the same time, obviously, and Olivia's pitched most of the season. But to have at least more options this year, how did that help you in the Kings Ridge game? Obviously, not having to keep Olivia out there for 2 whole games. And how do you think that's going to help you going forward in this tournament where you're going to need some pitching depth?
Yes, I mean, that is super helpful, because the past 3 years CC's had to pitch every game, the entire game, and regardless of if the other team was, starting to hit her, we just had to live with it. And, we lost a lot of games the last couple of innings because of that. But now, I have the option of when the other team starts hitting, I can give them a different look with CC being a left-hander, or I can bring our freshman in, Lila Young, to also give them a different look, because she has a little bit slower speed, which, can mess some hitters up. So and that's my plan going into Columbus, that I will not hesitate to change pitchers once that starts happening.
In the second game, they started walking CC a lot more, and that really showcased your whole lineup's ability, because it's easy to mention CC hitting a lot of home runs, driving a lot of runs, but the depth of your lineup has been a strength of the team all year, and that was showcased by scoring all those runs in Game 2. How important has it been to have such a deep lineup, a lineup that can hit for power, but just can also move the line and not just revolve around one player?
Yeah, and like I said, I knew we could out-hit them, but Haley Holland and our freshman Haley Brannon, I think they combined for 11 hits in those 2 games, and so they were huge, helping us to score all those runs. And then, of course, you sprinkle in Olivia, Millie, Kinsley, and Annabelle had a couple of big hits that night as well. So, yeah, we're deep hitting, and it's, starting to really pay off toward the end of the season. The girls are, clicking at the right time.
Yeah, you've already had the most successful season in Whitefield softball history in terms of record-wise, and making it now to Columbus. Regardless of how you guys end up finishing there, how much fun have you had this year with this group, making history, but just kind of the small memories along the way as well?
Yeah. They've definitely been the best group in my 4 years. The first day of practice, I listed some goals on our whiteboard in the dugout, and the first one was team chemistry, and the last one was Elite 8. And we've had the best team chemistry in my 4 seasons, and team chemistry goes a long way towards winning, and that was more evident this year than ever, because they saw the fruits of their labor last week, and they're excited to go to Columbus, and I'm super competitive, so we're going to play to win, but really it's all icing on the cake from here.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it's great to talk to you again. We don't have many reoccurring guests on this podcast, so I appreciate you coming back on, and best of luck down there, and we're proud of the team and all that they've done this year, and we'll be cheering them on every step of the way.
All right, thank you.
That'll do it for today's episode. Thank you to Coach Walsh and Coach Fuller for coming on the program today. I hope everybody has a happy Halloween, and hope everybody can celebrate it at Charles Family Field on Friday night for the region championship. That'll do it for me. I'm Jack Hunter, and we'll catch you next week on The Wire.